We certainly have some problems within the African American community, but one of the biggest problems we have is that we're not looking inward. We're busy looking outside at everybody else, what everyone else has done to us, what history has done to us. Our ancestors, considering our history and what they had to go through and the sacrifices that they had to make to get us to this point, our ancestors will be ashamed of how we're conducting ourselves.
All right, that's Stephen A. Smith on ESPN. Joining us now is Minister Quanell X, leader of the new Black Panther Party in Texas, national spokesman for the new Black Party Nation. Minister, welcome back, sir.
Thank you for having me, sir.
Always my pleasure. Do you agree with Stephen A. Smith that your ancestors, would be ashamed at what happened in Baltimore?
I believe that our ancestors would be ashamed that we took to the streets of Baltimore to destroy and burn down our own community. I do believe that, but I don't think that they would be ashamed that we're continuously moving forward in that line of protest when there's a need for it.
All right, let me ask you before we get to a sheriff in Texas. You rode with the police. I talked to you right after you did a ride through with the police, and you saw how they operate, and you came away with a new mindset, and you urged youngsters and black youngsters, not to run from the police. What's your take on what happened here to Freddie Gray? Now we're getting reports, as I made you aware of, that not only does the Washington Post say that a prisoner who was in that police van heard Freddie Gray, he couldn't see him, but he was in the next cubicle, if you will, in the van, heard Freddie Gray alone in the van banging himself up against the wall. And now we have a report that's leaked to WJLA in Baltimore that says that the medical examiner says that the injuries suffered, he broke his own neck, he broke his neck in that van, and that a head wound is consistent with a nut or a bolt that is in the van. So the head wound he got was like from banging his head against the wall where the bolt was. So what if it turns out, Quanell, that he did this to himself? Will the community believe that?
And what if it comes out that this young man riding in a van with him was intimidated and frightened into making that type of statement by Mr. Gray doing that to himself? What if it comes out that the cops actually took him on a rough ride in the back of that van and forced him to break his neck on that rough ride? What if it comes out, there has already come out, sir, that 4 undocumented stops, 4 that were undocumented, the cops did make? So there's more to lean toward the cops being culpable to what happened to Mr. Gray than proof that Mr. Gray did something to himself.
Well, I know about the 1 undocumented stop. I don't know. I haven't heard the 4. I'll give you.
It's a total of 4. It's a total of 4, not just 1.
No, 4. Total of 4 stops, but 1 was unknown up until today. That's what I get.
And remember, the police didn't even report that stop. A business camera captured that
stop. Right.
That is still not even being truthful.
Right. That is problematic. We need to find out what. But my question is, for argument's sake, just like there was no hands up, don't shoot. Just like the cop was acquitted in Ferguson, the cop was acquitted in Staten Island. If it turns out that if it turns out that there's no police culpability here, will the people of Baltimore accept that?
If it's proven for a fact, beyond a reasonable doubt, that yes, the cops had no culpability, then we should back down on the protest, move forward with rebuilding Baltimore, and take this as a learning experience. But remember, the cop in Staten Island was acquitted. The cop in Ferguson was acquitted by a grand jury. But also, O.J. Simpson was acquitted also.
All right. Well, I hear you. I hear you. That's a fair point. But the Justice Department itself did their own investigation in Ferguson, and the people came forward who were afraid to come forward and said there was no such thing as hands up, don't shoot, or please don't shoot, or any of that. But let's move on.
And there are many still standing by the story, including the white construction workers who said he had his hands up, and they have no quote-unquote dog in that hunt.
Well, having your hands up, looking like they're up when you're turning around and then charging at the cop, that's been established that he might have been like that, but there was no way he said, don't shoot. And surrendering. He was charging the police officer, according to all the forensic. He grabbed for the cop's gun and shot the gun.
Let me please say this. There's a common denominator. And I want every black young man within the sound of my voice to listen. There's a common denominator with these cases. There's always some type of resistance to police authority or police instruction. When you look at these cases, that's the common denominator. I'm begging you, brothers, please do not resist the police. Because if you try to resist and win your case out there on the streets, you got a better chance of winning your case against police misconduct in a courtroom than from a graveyard.
And God bless you for saying that, Minister. Really, that's so very important. Listen, we'll have you back real soon, early next week, to talk about the Texas case. Thank you, Quanell X. Give Me 5 is next, folks.